My browser failed to play the video clip.
Hello, everyone. Um, I'm Philip. I'm from Serbia, and you could have heard me right now. I'm the treasurer of Wikipedia and Education User Group, and here is Zico. He was the only one that did not pre-record this his lightning talk, his part of the presentation. So I'll give him now the time to do that. I just wanted to welcome everyone. Thank you for attending. And Liana, who's the chair, wasn't able to attend because it's middle of the night in her locale. So that was the reason why we actually pre-recorded most of these. Now I'll give word to Zico.
Thank you, Philip. So, hello from me. I'm Zico van Dijk. I'm a German living in the Netherlands, and I joined last year the board of the EduWiki user group. And we can talk about what the group is and does actually, and the questions and answers. And yes, it's well, we have to live this with this technology and this platform, and sometimes it works wonderfully, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult. So I hope we can all stay together and talk about educational topics. And the two things I would like to talk to you about, and I can later give you links and slides, are the Klexikon and other offers for young people, younger than the usual pupils we have in educational programs. And the other one is about ethical standards in our work with schools and with students. So the last time I have been on an international Wikimedia meeting was in 2019, and that was the education conference in Spain, in the Basque Country, in Donostia, and maybe some of you have been there. So there we had several gatherings of people who are busy with wikis that are not necessarily Wikimedia wikis. Wikis for children for about 8 to 14 years, wikis that sometimes are independently from the Wikimedia movement, or the Basque example, the Wikipedia that has been incorporated into Basque Wikipedia. And we were exchanging the different concepts we had and different ideas, how you ideally create such a wiki encyclopedia for children. And this is one idea that we actually do not have much for the younger audience. Also in the strategy, we talk about diversity and including a lot of people that are not including yet. And yes, we actually do not include in general in the movement those younger audiences. And also for them, an encyclopedia is great, but there can be also other wiki and free knowledge offers for 8-year-old or 10-year-old children. And I personally, I have been very skeptical about children, young children, 10, 12 years old. Now we have some experiences, very nice ones in Germany, where we had children write in a school class for the Klexikon, and it turned out quite well. And I wonder whether we can repeat that. So what I am now busy with for the Swiss chapter, I am creating documents. Several topics, and also a document how you can make a wiki encyclopedia in your own language. It's like a how-to-do manual. And third, a document about using the Klexikon or similar wiki encyclopedias for children in the classroom. So this is future work. I just can announce it. And the other topic I would like to mention to you is the question of ethical standards. So this is something we are interested to do in 2022, maybe. I hope that there is much interest in the community. So the thing is that when we have educational programs, often with partners, with schools or universities, well, there are a lot of rules, isn't it? So we have this universal code of conduct for the Wikimedia movement. Okay, it is dealing with a lot of things, what you should do and should not do. And many schools, of course, they have documents about appropriate behavior, etc. But what we did not have was a good discussion about our Wikimedia, wiki ideas about what to do and not to do, ethical standards, however you want to call it, on the wiki. And I just give you some examples of questions, and I want to emphasize these are only questions. These are not answers. I don't know the answers yet. I have my personal opinions, but I would like to hear from you people who are busy with Wikipedia, with schools, with students. What do you think would be good answers? And I think we as a movement, we should have a discussion about it. Just an example. Is it acceptable, for example, that learners edit wiki content that is related to themselves? So, for example, is it acceptable if a teacher asks a student to write a Wikipedia article about their school? Or would we say, no, you better shouldn't do that because you may be biased? Or who should decide on grades? Well, we have seen teachers who say, well, you pupils have to write a Wikipedia article, make it stick, make it not deleted, or make it having the status of featured article, and then I give you grades based on what happens on Wikipedia. So do you think that's okay? Or do you think that teachers must make these decisions about grades themselves? Can they outsource that to the Wikipedia community or not? Or, for example, do we think that learners or teachers or organizers should be required to announce their activities to the wiki community in advance prior to the beginning of the activity? You know, sometimes the Wikipedia community is overwhelmed by the input or new articles from students. And what do we think is appropriate? Do we think that it must be announced in advance? And what can the Wikipedians reasonably expect from educators? So do we think that it is that teachers and other organizers must have learned about Wikipedia sufficiently so that they know what they can do or what they cannot do? So these are some questions, or one lovely one. Imagine a student wrote an article for Wikipedia, and then there's a nomination for deletion. Do we find it appropriate if the teacher gets involved in the deletion discussion? Because the teacher, she might be biased about whether the article should be kept, not for the good of the encyclopedia, but for the good of the education program. So these are some of the many, many questions I think we should have a discussion about in the movement. What is ethical or good practice, or how do we want to people treat each other so that we can really make it a win-win situation, good for the encyclopedia and good for the school and the students and the teachers. So this is what I have been busy with in the board, and this is about the future, I understand. So if you are interested in these topics, I'm very much welcoming your questions. I will give you links. And of course, we have here an open session for every question you might have about Wikipedia and education and other wikis, of course. So these have been my 50 cents. Philip, how do we go on?
Yes, thank you, Zico. The idea was for me to just do a small recap. Wikipedia and Education user group, as I gave a link in the chat to our meta presence. So, which is not completely updated, but still, I just wanted to give a small recap. So we are, as you heard, a volunteer organization. We have 5 Peace Board member, and we do what we can in our spare time. We have existed for almost 3 years now, and I just wanted to give a small shout out to Shani, who was essential in making things happen in the first period and our first chair. Basically these ideas that we had from the start were to be an agent of support and networking for the whole Wikipedia and education community, and we know that it's a large one. It's getting bigger. So what our assets are is basically the experience that we've had, the joint experience of many years, and the connections that we have. But we also wanted to open the organization to our members to activate them to have them participate in more activities and the working groups were a way to kick off that. I'm sad that we weren't able to do that offline in the conference that was planned for last year, but I'm hopeful that we will be able to do that in the foreseeable future. And yeah, we're here to facilitate and to make sure that some things happen and to liaise with the Wikimedia Foundation education team. And yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff. And basically, uh, but still, we can't do it all. We rely on volunteers. So yeah, I will now. I would like to answer some questions that you have, and we're following both Etherpad and the Remo. So for now, we only have one question, and I will read it and probably answer it. So, what are the plans for the Wikipedia education program in Africa? Um, I would have to say I don't really know. As I said, we are here to facilitate, not to run education programs. So we won't be running any programs, not only in Africa, but anywhere around the world. We might be running education programs in our own locale. So I, Philip, may help run an education program in Serbia, organized by Wikimedia Serbia, and Ziku does some things in his part of the Western Europe and or Central. And Liana does her great work in US and Canada, but we are not working on any projects as the user group. What we can do is basically connect you and kick off things and try to see what are the resources that are necessary for you to run your program efficiently or how to kick off, etc. So what you heard from Joao, I believe, was the mentorship program, which we've started recently, and we've managed to connect mentors with mentees who are able and will be able to connect, and we really expect this to work and to for mentors to transfer their knowledge to mentees and try to help them navigate the dangerous waters of starting an education program wherever in the world. I've personally done several mentorships a while back while we were still Wikimedia cooperative or collaborative. And yeah, I think it's a fulfilling task, and I'm glad that we've had I think like 12 mentee partnerships or connections established, and I hope that if this pilot proves to be worthy and valuable, then we'll definitely make this more sustainable and something that we'll invest more on in the future, so that the needs of those who haven't really tried to figure out how to work with education and Wikipedia, they might be able to find out and have mentorship in that regard. So I'm hopeful. Yeah, I'm just now reading what Shani's saying. Yeah, yeah, mentorship is something that's definitely on our priority list.
By the way, Philip, I have a little delay here, so I maybe what I say, the movement of my lips is not synchronous, but it doesn't matter. It is a little bit complicated in the movement, as always, isn't it? So we have, on the one hand, with the user group, but there are also other entities who are busy with education, and that's why we try to be the platform or the forum where the different people meet and can exchange their ideas. And for example, we do it with meetings, regular meetings. Philip, I don't have the exact term now. How do we call them? Open meetings of the education user group?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, and there we have also guests who are presenting something. So last time I remember people from Arab countries who were talking about what they are doing exactly in a very specific and certain situation, and that was useful and interesting for everybody of us. And if someone of you has an idea what to present at such an open meeting, so please contact us. So you can do it via MetaWiki or by other means. So, and maybe we can incorporate that into our open meetings. And in general, yes, we are open for ideas, how to make use of this platform, which is the EduWiki user group.
Yeah, and I just want to say that we do have another open meeting planned. It would have been organized right about now, but since we have this Wikimania, we didn't want to saturate you guys with too many of these online events. So we're
Indeed,
postponing
yes.
it for end of September, I believe. So it's definitely going to be during September. So we'll keep you posted, and we expect some exciting guests. We're trying to have this habit of organizing these online events, open community events, every 2 months, and we want them to be open for everyone, but also saved for later use. So if you can't really consume it in when it's happening, you can definitely do that at a later time. All right, so we do have another question from Tochi Precious. Hi, I've been following up about Wikipedia education program on LinkedIn, and I would like to find out how one can introduce this in a school. So yeah, that's a really open question. There are many ways how you can try to fit Wikipedia or Wikimedia projects into schools. It also depends on the level we're talking about. Are we talking about really small kids, or high school level, or maybe even university? That definitely can influence on your choice of how to approach this and how to structure your curriculum, or at least plans for inclusion, if it won't cover the whole semester or course. But there are many, as I said, many ways how you can do that, starting from just writing articles on Wikipedia, or just fixing small errors if you want something entry level, or referencing stuff, so adding references and sources, adding photos or other media, taking photos or other media as well, so contributing to commons. Something more advanced would be Wikidata, which is gaining popularity, and especially in the education circles, now that it's been established as a de facto good platform. Wikisource, Wikiquote, Wiktionary, they all have their own merits in terms of how you might be able to contribute to them. So I can't really give you a definitive answer, but there are a lot of ways that you could structure that, and feel free to reach out to us, to the user group, and we can connect to you with anyone who might be able to help you out, or some of us might be able to help you as well. So definitely do reach out to us, and we can find out how we can help you.
Indeed, Philip. There's something that came up here on Wikimania several times, and that is the question about the learning objectives. It always depends on what exactly you want to achieve with the pupils. And yes, it depends on what kind of education program you need then. And it can be so different what you actually want to teach the children or the students. And I'm so curious to learn more about that, what different objectives that can be for a specific situation.
All right. Seems like we have about a minute to cut. So unless there are any more questions, yes, and Galder will plug you in. So he's been great working with children in the Basque region, and he's willing to share his experiences, and you're definitely free to contact him if you have any questions about that. But also our own Zico is very well versed in that. So I mean, there are many resources around the internet, and many people who could help you. So definitely you can approach anyone, and then I'm sure that we'll be able to help, and we can talk and connect. I think that's what we're for. So thanks everyone. This was a lovely discussion, and thanks for being here. Galder asks if we can meet in building 6. Yes, I will be lingering there until the next break. Thank you.
Yes. Goodbye. Thank you.